Legends and realities of the Roman-Germanic Wars. The Roman-Germanic Wars were among the most defining conflicts of ancient Europe. These battles, spanning centuries, were not just about land or power. They were about survival, identity, and the clash of vastly different worlds. From the dense forests of Germania to the fortified cities of Rome, these wars were steeped in both legend and historical reality. This is the story of the men and women who lived, fought, and died in this epic struggle. Chapter 1: The Setting of Two Worlds. At the heart of the Roman-Germanic Wars was a confrontation between two fundamentally different civilizations. Rome represented order, discipline, and the drive for expansion. Its legions, infrastructure, and governance were unparalleled. Germania, by contrast, was a land of dense forests, rolling plains, and tribal societies that valued freedom, honor, and kinship above all else. The Germanic tribes were fiercely independent, bound by loyalty to their chiefs and sacred oaths. They had no cities, no centralized government, and no desire for conquest. Yet they possessed an intimate knowledge of their land and an unparalleled ability to adapt to its harsh conditions. To the Romans, they were barbarians. To themselves, they were guardians of the land and its traditions. Chapter 2: The Ambush at Teutoburg Forest. The most legendary event of the Roman-Germanic Wars is the Battle of Teutoburg Forest in 9 CE. It was here that Arminius, a chieftain of the Cherusei tribe, turned his Roman training against the empire. The Roman governor Varus led 3 legions, about 20,000 soldiers, into Germania, intending to quell what he believed was a minor rebellion. Arminius, pretending to be an ally, led the legions into a dense forest where Roman formations became ineffective. Over 3 days, Germanic warriors ambushed the Romans, using the terrain to trap and slaughter them. The defeat was catastrophic for Rome. The loss of 3 legions not only shattered Roman confidence but also marked the Rhine as the boundary Rome would never fully cross again. While Arminius became a symbol of Germanic resistance, Varus's name became synonymous with disaster. Chapter 3: Germanicus and the Roman Counterattack. In the wake of the Teutoburg disaster, Emperor Augustus sought revenge. His successor, Tiberius, entrusted Germanicus, a brilliant young general, with restoring Roman dominance along the Rhine. Germanicus launched a series of brutal campaigns into Germania from 14 to 16 CE. He recovered the eagle standards of the lost legions, a powerful symbol of Roman resilience, and inflicted heavy losses on the tribes. At the Battle of Itastavizo, Germanicus defeated Arminius in open combat, forcing him to retreat. Yet, despite Germanicus's victories, the cost of maintaining control over Germania proved too great. Rome eventually abandoned plans for conquest, focusing instead on fortifying the Rhine frontier. The campaigns demonstrated Rome's strength but also underscored the determination of the Germanic tribes. Chapter 4: Myth and Reality of the Forest Warriors. To the Romans, the Germanic warriors were figures of myth and terror. Roman historians like Tacitus painted them as noble savages, fierce, unyielding, and deeply connected to their land. This image was not entirely inaccurate but often exaggerated for political purposes. In reality, the Germanic tribes were highly diverse, with unique customs, languages, and levels of organization. Some tribes, like the Cherusei and the Batavi, were adept at guerrilla warfare, using ambushes and terrain to their advantage. Others, like the Marcomanni and Alemanni, were capable of fielding large, organized armies. Their weapons, long spears, heavy shields, and short swords, were simple but effective. Their tactics relied on speed, surprise, and the psychological advantage of ferocious war cries and intimidating displays. Chapter 5: The Marcomannic Wars. In the 2nd century CE, the Roman Empire faced a new wave of Germanic aggression in the form of the Marcomannic Wars. The Marcomanni, led by their king Boulomar, united several tribes to launch a massive invasion of Roman territory in 166 CE. The Romans, led by Emperor Marcus Aurelius, responded with a series of campaigns that pushed the empire to its limits. These wars saw battles fought in icy rivers, dense forests, and open plains. At the Battle of Carnuntum, Marcus Aurelius personally led his legions to victory against overwhelming odds. Despite Roman success, the wars exposed the vulnerability of the empire. The Germanic tribes, though eventually pushed back, had shown that they could challenge Rome's might on its own soil. Chapter 6. The Sack of Rome. By the 4th and 5th centuries CE, the balance of power had shifted. Rome, weakened by internal strife and economic decline, faced mounting pressure from Germanic tribes. The Visigoths, fleeing the Huns, sought refuge within the empire but were mistreated by Roman officials. Their leader, Alaric, turned against Rome. In 410 CE, Alaric and his warriors sacked the city of Rome. Though relatively restrained in their destruction, the sack was a psychological blow to the empire, symbolizing its decline. Alaric's actions were both a rebellion and a plea for recognition. His people wanted a place within the Roman world, not its destruction. Chapter 7. The Germanic Legacy. The Roman-Germanic Wars ended not with a decisive victory but with the transformation of Europe. By the 5th century, the Western Roman Empire had fallen, replaced by kingdoms founded by Germanic tribes. The Franks, Visigoths, Ostrogoths, and others adopted Roman laws, religion, and culture, blending them with their own traditions. Heroes like Arminius became symbols of resistance, while figures like Alaric represented the merging of two worlds. The legacy of these wars was not just in the shifting of borders but in the creation of a new cultural identity that would define medieval Europe. Epilogue, Legends and Realities. The legends of the Roman-Germanic Wars have endured for millennia, romanticized in art, literature, and national identity. Yet beneath the myths lies a reality of bloodshed, bravery, and the resilience of the human spirit. The Germanic warriors who faced Rome were not just fighters, they were defenders of their way of life. The Romans who battled them were not merely conquerors, they were builders of a legacy that shaped the world. Together, they created a story of conflict and coexistence, a tale as enduring as the forests of Germania and the ruins of Rome. Chapter 8. The Women of Germania. The Germanic tribes valued their women not just as caregivers and companions, but as vital members of their society. Roman historians like Tacitus wrote about the reverence Germanic warriors held for their women, believing them to possess prophetic powers and spiritual wisdom. These women often influenced battles, inspired warriors, and sometimes fought alongside them. One of the most legendary figures was Velida, a priestess of the Bructeri tribe. During the Batavian Revolt in 69 to 70 CE, she became a symbol of resistance against Rome. Velida was believed to have divine visions and provided guidance to the rebel leader Julius Civilis. Her influence united tribes and sustained the rebellion, even as Roman forces regrouped and retaliated. Though Velida was eventually captured by the Romans and taken to Rome, her legacy endured. She exemplified the critical role women played in the cultural and spiritual fabric of the Germanic tribes. Chapter 9. The Batavian Revolt. The Batavi were a Germanic tribe known for their fierce loyalty as Roman auxiliaries, until that loyalty was betrayed. Julius Civilis, a Batavian noble, led a rebellion against Rome in 69 CE during the chaos of the Year of the Four Emperors. Civilis, once a trusted Roman commander, turned against his former masters after enduring Roman injustice. Using his knowledge of Roman tactics, he orchestrated a series of daring victories, including the siege of the Roman fort at Vetera. His forces destroyed 2 legions and captured their eagle standards, a humiliation for the empire. Despite his successes, the rebellion faltered when Rome sent overwhelming reinforcements. Civilis negotiated a peace treaty, the details of which remain unclear. The revolt, though ultimately suppressed, demonstrated the power of Germanic unity and the vulnerability of the Roman military. Chapter 10. Cnodomar and the Alemanni. By the 4th century CE, the Alemanni had become one of the most formidable Germanic tribes on the Roman frontier. Cnodomar, a king of the Alemanni, led his people in a series of raids and battles against Rome, culminating in the Battle of Strasbourg in 357 CE. Facing the skilled Roman general Julian, later Emperor Julian the Apostate, Cnodomar led a coalition of Germanic tribes into battle. The Alemanni warriors, known for their heavy shields and long spears, fought fiercely, nearly breaking the Roman lines. Julian's discipline and strategic brilliance turned the tide, and the Alemanni were decisively defeated. Cnodamar was captured and taken to Rome, where he later died in captivity. His courage and leadership, however, inspired future generations of Alemanni, who continued to challenge Rome's dominance. Chapter 11. The Eternal Struggle. The Roman-Germanic Wars spanned centuries, evolving from a series of border skirmishes to a full-scale migration and transformation of Europe. The resilience of the Germanic tribes, combined with Rome's inability to fully subdue them, led to the eventual collapse of the Western Roman Empire. By the 5th century CE, Germanic kingdoms replaced Roman provinces. The Franks ruled Gaul, the Visigoths claimed Hispania, and the Ostrogoths established their domain in Italy. The Anglo-Saxons crossed the North Sea to lay the foundations of England. Each of these kingdoms carried elements of Roman culture and law, blended with Germanic traditions. The wars were not merely a tale of destruction but of creation, a fusion of two worlds that laid the groundwork for medieval Europe.